Hi everyone, Steve Patterson here from Photoshop Essentials. In this video, I show you how to create split color text in Photoshop, where the top and bottom half of each letter is filled with a different color, or a different shade of the same color. We'll start by adding the effect to the text itself, and then I'll show you two ways to enhance it. First, by adding a split color stroke around the text, and then by adding the same split colors to the background. To create the split color effect, we'll use a gradient. Normally, gradients are used for smooth transitions between colors, but I'll show you how to create one that splits two solid colors down the middle. You can follow along with any recent version of Photoshop, but for best results, you'll want to be using Photoshop 2020 or later. I'm using 2021. If you like these videos, be sure to subscribe, and let's get started. I'll start from the beginning by creating a new document and adding the text, but the chapter times are in the description if you want to jump ahead. If you're on the home screen, like I am here, create a new document by clicking the Create New button. Or if you're on Photoshop's main interface, go up to the File menu in the menu bar and choose New. Then in the New Document dialog box, enter your settings. I want my document to be twice as wide as it is tall, so I'll set the width to 3000 pixels and the height to 1500. You may want smaller values depending on the resolution of your screen. I'll leave the resolution of the document at 300 pixels per inch, the background contents to white, and the color profile to sRGB. Then click the Create button. And we have our new document. To add the text, select the Type tool from the toolbar. And then in the Options bar, choose your font. Any font will work. I'm using Futura PT, which I installed from Adobe Fonts, with the weight set to Heavy. Set the type size to 72 points, so we're starting with the largest preset size, and set the color to black so we can see the text in front of the white background. Of course, the color won't matter once we add the gradient. Then click inside the document and add your text. I'll type the word color. Click the check mark in the options bar to accept it. To resize the text, go up to the Edit menu and choose Free Transform. Then drag the handles to resize it. In newer versions of Photoshop, the aspect ratio is automatically locked in place. But if you're using an older version, you'll need to hold the Shift key on your keyboard as you drag. And then to center the text, click inside the Transform box and drag it into place. Click the check mark in the Options bar when you're done. In my case, the letters are spaced a bit too far apart. To move them closer together, I'll go to the Properties panel and I'll change the kerning from Metrics to Optical. In earlier Photoshop versions, the kerning option can be found in the Character panel. Then to add a bit more space between the letters L and O, I'll click between them with the Type tool. Then I'll press and hold the Alt key on a Windows PC or the Option key on a Mac, and I'll press the right arrow key on my keyboard to move the two letters a bit farther apart. I'll accept it by clicking the check mark in the Options bar. Of course, my text isn't quite centered anymore, so I'll quickly go back to the Edit menu, back to Free Transform, and I'll drag the text back into the center. And there we go. We have our text, and we're ready to create the split color effect. We'll create the effect using a gradient. Now, Photoshop does not let us fill text with a gradient directly, but we can do it using a layer effect. In the Layers panel, make sure the Type layer is selected. Then click the Effects icon at the bottom and choose Gradient Overlay. And this opens the Layer Style dialog box. We'll start by choosing Photoshop's standard black to white gradient, and then we'll edit the gradient colors. First, click the Gradient Color Swatch to open the Gradient Editor. Then in the Presets area, choose the black to white gradient. As of Photoshop 2020, the presets are grouped into folders, and the black to white gradient is in the Basics folder. Click on its thumbnail to make it active. In the bottom half of the Gradient Editor is a preview bar showing the current gradient colors. We have black on the left and white on the right, but we can change them to any colors we like. To change the color on the left, click on the black color stop below the preview bar to select it. Then click the color swatch and choose a new color from the color picker. You can use any colors you like. I'll choose a desaturated pink by setting the R value to 146. Then I'll press the Tab key on my keyboard to jump down to the G value, and I'll set it to 116. I'll press the Tab key again to change the B value to 137. Then I'll click OK to close the color picker. To change the color on the right of the gradient, click the white color stop, then click the color swatch, and again choose a new color from the color picker. This time, I'll go with a lighter, more reddish color by setting R to 237, G to 214, and B to 222. Close the color picker when you're done. At the moment, the colors in the gradient are gradually transitioning from one to the other, which is normally what gradients do. But for our split color effect, we need two solid colors divided down the middle. To do that, click the color swatch on the left to select it, then change its location value from 0 to 50%. This moves the color stop to the midpoint of the gradient. Then click the color stop on the right and change its location from 100% to 50%. And now the two color stops overlap each other in the middle, giving us a solid color on each side. Before you close the gradient editor, save the gradient as a new preset. That way, we can use it again without needing to recreate it. But first, if you're using Photoshop 2020 or newer, close the Basics folder in the Presets area. Otherwise, the new preset will be added to that folder. Then give your preset a name. I'll name mine Split Color. To save it, click the New button. A thumbnail for the gradient appears below the others. We're done with the gradient editor, so click OK to close it. I'll drag the dialog box out of the way so we can see the effect so far. You can swap the colors in the text by checking the reverse option in the Layer Style dialog box. Uncheck it to swap them back. At this point, if you're happy with the effect, you can close the Layer Style dialog box and you're done. But there's a couple of ways to enhance the effect. And the first way is by adding a stroke around the text using the same split color gradient. Here's how to do it. First, select the stroke option on the left of the Layer Style dialog box. Then change the stroke's fill type from color to gradient. To select the gradient, don't click on the gradient swatch itself, since that will open the gradient editor. Instead, click the arrow to the right of the swatch to open the gradient picker. Then scroll down and select your split color gradient. Double-click on its thumbnail to select it and close the gradient picker. To see the stroke around the text, we need the colors in the stroke to be in the reverse order from how they appear in the text itself. So if you did not reverse the colors for the text, then check the reverse option for the stroke. If you did reverse the colors in the text, then leave it unchecked for the stroke. In other words, whatever you did with the text, do the opposite with the stroke. You should already see a thin outline around the letters. Change the position of the stroke from inside to outside. And then drag the slider to increase the stroke size. I'll set mine to 18 pixels. And here's the result with the stroke around the text. We're done with the Layer Style dialog box, so click OK to close it. Another way to enhance the effect is to apply the split color gradient to the background. First, in the Layers panel, turn off the stroke by clicking its visibility icon. Click on the background layer to select it, then click the New Fill or Adjustment Layer icon and choose Gradient. A gradient fill layer appears between the background layer and the type layer. In the Gradient Fill dialog box, click the arrow next to the gradient swatch to open the gradient picker, and then double-click on your split color gradient to select it. Click the reverse option, if needed, to swap the colors in the background so they're the opposite of the colors in the text. Then click OK to close the dialog box. The only problem now is that my text is not centered vertically with the gradient in the background. To fix that, select the type layer in the Layers panel, then go up to the Select menu in the menu bar and choose All. A selection outline appears around the canvas. Select the Move tool from the toolbar, and then in the Options bar, click the Align Vertical Centers icon. And now both gradients are lined up. Finally, remove the selection outline by going back to the Select menu and choosing Deselect. And there we have it. That's how to create a split color text effect in Photoshop. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you found it helpful, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos. Visit my website, PhotoshopEssentials.com, where you'll find hundreds of Photoshop tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm Steve Patterson from Photoshop Essentials.